Well, we've had our misadventures in The Sims 1 already, so it's time to tackle the sequel. The Sims 2 came out in 2004, and the last expansion pack came out in roughly 2009. I don't remember off the top of my head. But back then, you know, the Sims games only lasted 4 to 5 years, not 10 plus. Ugh, yeah, anyway. It's a major step up from The Sims 1 in, well, not only the graphical department, but also the gameplay department. As you can see in the provided gameplay above, I'm already able to turn the camera in a 3D space, more or less. Movement is a lot smoother. And it's just, you know, generally more in-depth. While The Sims 1 was very basic, because obviously it was the first of its kind, it was also pretty difficult to keep your Sims in a good mood because the motive decay was just insanely bad, and you saw that in the prior series. This time, while the motives stay the same, they go up faster and easier, and they don't necessarily decay as quick. Plus, with, I don't remember, I think it was the free time expansion, you could buy with aspiration reward points, you could even buy ways to make them decay even slower. Therefore, kind of making the game a lot easier. There was other things you could do, and you'll see that in the course of this playthrough. But yeah, there's a ton more socialization options, ton more objects, ton more ways to just interact with the world. And yeah. As I mentioned the aspiration reward points, I should also point out that obviously, as you can see from the panel there, your Sims now have wants and fears in The Sims 2. These aspiration points you get from your wants can get you other rewards, which you'll also see in the playthrough. These range from a money tree that grows a little bit more cash as you water it, to an elixir of life that adds days to your Sim's lifespan. Which also brings me to another thing that's different. The Sims in this game actually age. I think the lifespan's roughly like 65 or 70 days. There's 6 life stages, 7 if you count young adult from the university expansion, but they're infant, toddler, child, teen, adult, and elder. Moving on from the day-to-day gameplay section, as you just saw in the prior clip, you're actually now able to choose the size of the lots you're playing on. I kind of chose a medium-sized lot for the speed build you're seeing here, and this is just to kind of show you how much more that you can do while building a house. You can see there's a lot more options for wall coverings. There's even foundations now and connecting stairs. Just a fair warning, I am playing this playthrough with mods beyond just like the skin pack that I was using in Sims 1. So anytime I buy an object with like a little thingy, like a little star thing in the bottom corner of the thumbnail, that is a modded object. But yeah. I spent so much time creating stuff in The Sims 2, but time to move on to the playthrough rules. Our Sim has to start on an empty lot with no money. No income can be made from a legitimate job, although they can have a home business. That is fair game. I cannot sell the Mr. Humble computer, or Rod Humble computer, whatever that thing is, for the free money, I think the $1,300 that gives me. It's a little bit cheaty. I will end up using it. And for the sake of actually hitting 100 days, I am basically allowing myself to use that Elixir of Life aspiration reward. Basically, the end goal of the whole playthrough, at the end of 100 days, is to have a house that's valued at least $75,000, have our character be married, and have at least 2 kids. Now, whether or not they live with them at that time, that's irrelevant. They just have to have at least 2. But, yeah, time to get this started. So for the sake of continuity, we are going to continue with the Genius family. And this time I'm actually going Genius Junior, even though that's... It's gonna show up wonky, but just, you know, it's fine. There's the... Well, a pretty good example is the Landgrab the Fourth from the Blue Water Village neighborhood. His last name is actually Landgrab the Fourth, so yeah. Anyway, So this is going to be Jimbo's son. Sure, we'll go with that. See, The Sims 2 has a storyline that's placed like 25 years after The Sims 1. We could play that into this, but that's, we're not going to do that. So here I'm just, going through outfits. I thought I had some clothing mods installed, but apparently I don't. And then Sims in this game also have turn-ons and turn-offs on top of the Zodiac personality they got. And this time I kind of tried to fix some of the things that I screwed up with the last time, so we're going to see how well this works out. But anyway, day 1, we are on the smallest lot I could get. And we're a little bit later in the day because I spent some time goofing around trying to figure out how to get his account down to 0. For some reason, the Set Family Funds cheat wasn't working. So I ended up, which I thought I had it installed already, but apparently I didn't, installing the Inseminator mod from, I believe it was More Awesome Than You, and just using the budget adjuster to adjust his funds to 0. But yeah. So the primary source of income in the first few days is going to be the digging for treasure here, as you're seeing him do. We're actually getting a pretty good return on it. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build a small bathroom so that him and his house guests aren't just pissing themselves everywhere, because that gets annoying. Especially because we're already going to have a hell of a mess on this lot because of him digging all these holes. After nearly getting trapped in the bathroom, we do a little bit of socializing and then go straight back to digging for treasure. Now, something interesting, that's not a full room. There is no front wall because, well, as you saw in the little sped up section, I tried to put a wall there and a door, and I didn't have enough money to put the door there. So here I'm going a little bit further after selling the last few treasures he found, and I'm making just a full bathroom so that we've at least got a toilet and a shower. I go a little bit further because he's got enough money. I buy the cheapest fridge I can get and some counter space so he can actually make food. I think I go a little bit further because we did find a treasure chest, which gives us $5,000, so that's an incredibly lucky find, and that worked really well in our favor. I was able to actually decently furnish his meager abode, as it were. I'm not going to go too much in depth on the mods that I'm using, mostly because there's just a lot of them. You'll just kind of see them as I'm going through the menus in these more sped up sections when I'm going through the build and buy menus. But one of them that kind of inspired me to do this was the Hobo Living pack that I found on, I believe it's called the Sims database. It's on archive.org, and it's basically where they archive a bunch of Sims custom content, mostly from the first and second game, some from the third. I found this as like this Hobo Living pack, and this challenge kind of morphed past that because I'm already doing way better than most of your typical hobos. But yeah, there's obviously the cardboard boxes they're sitting on. There's the little heater that's next to them. There was some more stuff in there, but I didn't actually look at everything that pack entailed before I started it. But anyway, People Secret Agent Man here drinking an entire 6-pack of, I'm assuming, the Sim version of V8s. Fucking Bogart. Anyway, day 2 is pretty much more of the same. Oh, this is a goofy spot here. I, for some reason, couldn't just clean that plate up. I had to go into build mode and delete it, and I have no idea why the hell that happened. But, I buy a trash can real quick, too. Now, later that day, it starts raining. and we get our first round of bills. So in The Sims 1, bills came every 3 days. In 2, and I think actually basically every game starting with 2, they come on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, of course, clearly there's not much here besides a fridge, some cabinets, a computer, and a bunch of holes. So our bills were only 18 bucks. This situation I thought was absolutely hilarious here, where he's digging more holes in the yard as you're watching the maid filling them. I can only imagine she's just absolutely cursing him out in her head, because I definitely would be. Anyway, kind of get some of his motives up, and we decide to make a phone call to get social motive up. The thing that works a lot better in this game when you call other Sims on the phone is you don't just get like 4 or 5 little speech bubbles. You get, like, they'll have full-on conversations and wander around while they're talking. Which, basically, I mean, you can max out your social motive on a single phone call, which is great, and it helps your relationship building better, which is another thing too. It's going to be a lot easier to build and maintain relationships in this game. But we're on to day 3 here. As you can see, the yard is nowhere near as terrible as it was the day before. I decided that since I've got the money to spare, I buy him a proper bed to sleep on instead of the cardboard boxes. That way, it improves his energy motive gain. I do put the little heater next to there. I never actually, like, screwed with it to get it working or anything like that, and I think I end up selling it pretty quick. But, yep, and then we just stack up some tasks to do when he wakes up. And after finishing all that, definitely the thing to do when you're starting out and you have a very low cooking skill is you basically want to make a group serving every time you do anything and just eat like 2 or 3 of those, because you can save your leftovers in this game, which was something that started with this game. I go ahead and have him paint because we're going to need all the help we can get as far as money goes. As we get closer to the painting being done, I get a phone call about an arts and crafts magazine. Free time added enthusiasm for certain tasks. So like in this case, he's gaining its enthusiasm for, I think, arts and crafts. And when you start building that enthusiasm, one of the earliest steps is you'll get a phone call. It'll ask you if you want to subscribe to a magazine. I don't really want any more crap on the lot than I already need, so I just go ahead and decline that. Plus, it just ends up being clutter. I think 9 times out of 10 my Sims never actually read them. But, we have a clearly very engaging phone call, and then take a quick shower. We're on to day 4 now. So, we're gonna go ahead and do some more painting, because, you know, money. Yeah. So have him paint for a little bit, and then have him go to bed. A little bit later in the morning, I kind of sit around, and I try to see where I can put a driveway. And I think the reason I couldn't place a driveway there, like, right on the edge is, I'm guessing it has to have at least a 1-tile buffer between the end of the object and the end of the lot, because I know the walls are like that. You can't place the walls directly on the edges of the lot. It has to be like the square over. So that's what I'm guessing anyway. And then if I move it over even 1, you see the trash can gets in the way. So that was a little aggravating. But yeah, and we're making paintings and selling them for a pittance. But here I check his score, and this is the panel I was talking about. Like, you can, you know, slow your drains, get extra vacation time, things like that. You can also select a secondary aspiration, which rolls once relevant to that aspiration, so it kind of broadens the scope of what you can do to earn aspiration points. I kind of scroll around here, but I ultimately end up going with, and stifle your laughter, the grilled cheese aspiration. Basically because it's super easy to get aspiration points for that one. You'll kind of see a little later on what I'm talking about. But anyway, I kind of just look at these, and I end up going with the actual fortune tree as far as spending the rest of those points go, because I can earn, well, you saw the very top one was investment, so that's a passive daily income. On top of that, I can give financial advice on the computer for, I think it ends up being something like 75 bucks an hour. Of course, as you can see, he's sleeping just fine in the rain. Seasons added, you know, weather patterns as well as actual seasons. As you could see there was a bunch of reactions to the weather queued up in the top of the screen there. You kind of can't help that. They just autonomously do that all the time. Snow will be pretty bad too. But anyway, back to painting, because money. We gotta get the creativity skill up as much as possible, as quick as possible. That way we're selling paintings for more than like 25 bucks. Also, I don't know what the hell happened here. This is a weird glitch I've never seen before. Like, he's on the bed, but he's not? But then he ends up flashing right over to it. Here's where I move shit around, because I'm going to start building a house. Now I'll just let this clip play through with no commentary, so you can just kind of see what I'm doing here. One note, I do not pretend to be a professional Sims house designer, so especially working with a super limited amount of money, you're just going to see, well, yeah. Of course, we had to top off the ultimate hobo shack with a wrecked Camaro, because, well, why not? This man looks like he drives a wrecked 3rd-gen Camaro. Anyway, so, you know, phone call in the new house. I think I bought that chair because I need to complete an aspiration goal, if I'm not mistaken. So you'll see sometimes objects will just appear because I won't point out every single one that I did, especially if there's a cut between when I got the want and when I actually fulfilled it. Yeah, so with the fortune aspiration, your sim will want to buy things, which they're pretty typically, I should say, they're typically easy wants to meet if you have the cash, which is kind of the running problem in the early days of this. But as you can see here, I immediately go out and dig a hole for some treasure because I looked at the wants he rolled, and he rolled a want for a toilet. And I sat there for a minute, and I forgot that I sold my toilet and shower because I couldn't just throw them anywhere while I was building the house. And I obviously got rid of the little bathroom shack that they were originally in because I wanted to center the house differently. So, yeah. And I just quickly create a little bathroom nook off to the side and fill that in. At this point, I also build a bespoke bedroom for him to sleep in, as well as at the end of this, you're going to see I wallpaper and floor the house as well. Also threw in a bookshelf just in case there's some skills I need to build, but I mean, really, I don't think we're going to have to build anything that I'm not already using, unless he rolls a want for one of the, I think they're technically considered hidden skills, but I'm not going to swear to it. But yeah, and we move our easel into the bedroom, and we get to painting some more. Because, like I said, we got 100 days to try to build up as much money as possible, and we're already 5 days in. Day 6 sees us start another painting and sell it a little bit later that morning. A little bit later, I check the wants panel and see that he rolled the want of buying a sculpture. So, of course, I go into build and buy mode, and I sit there for a second, and I double check to make sure that the flamingo would count. Luckily for us, the flamingo counts as a sculpture, even though it's kind of just a molded plastic thing on a stick. But anyway, yeah, so 12 bucks to get that want taken care of. And we get a phone call and proceed to talk to another sim on the phone for a little while. And then we put away our leftovers. It was at this point I decided to try to write a novel on the computer. Now, it gives you like 5 options for story points. I just picked these right here. I was gonna go with like a coherent thing and come up with a whole story of, you know, what all this means, but yeah, no, I kind of chose random things that looked cool, and that was about it. Day 7, we're still working on that novel. Those take quite a while to write, actually. So we take a small break to refill our motives. This includes using the bathroom and taking a shower, as well as grabbing the leftover grilled cheese out of the fridge. After a couple of plates of grilled cheese, I send him back to work to continue the new great American novel. Day 8, we're still working pretty hard on that novel, but finally, this menu comes up where you can name it and add a description. And yeah, so novel's finished. And all you're seeing here is me. I kind of wrote up a little story. I'm not going to read it here. If you really want to know what it says, just, you know, pause the video here. So, provided you have a phone, when you finish a novel, you'll get a phone call, and they'll tell you how much that novel made. Now, I started this with not super high creativity, but high enough that we got $2 grand out of it. Also, after receiving the phone call, a delivery truck will show up and deliver a copy of your novel. Now, because that novel sold well, we fulfilled a want, which was actually a pretty high aspiration reward want, which put us into platinum aspiration, which also puts us into platinum mood, which means motives decay slower. So it's another thing that if you keep them happy and keep fulfilling their kind of wants and wishes and shit, they'll actually be a little bit easier to satiate. The sped up goofiness you see here has to do with me having selected the grilled cheese aspiration as a secondary aspiration. So sometimes you'll roll a want that is your sim just wants to eat some grilled cheese. And hey, that's fine. Grilled cheese is great. But what happened here, and it happens again later on a different day, he basically gets into this feedback loop of constantly wanting to eat more and more grilled cheese. So I kept that in the video because I thought it was pretty funny. And here I go into the build buy menu to just get him a nicer bed, because I mean, that one's alright, but if we can boost that energy gain a little bit, we can spend that much less time sleeping. Alright, day 9, we're back to painting. Spent enough time on that novel that I hadn't actually touched painting for a while, and that one got us a couple $100. So this time, instead of just a random painting that the game came up with, I decided I was going to paint a still life. And what better subject for a still life painting from a guy who lives in a freaking shack? The immaculate, damaged 92 Camaro. 'Cause why the hell not? Low-key, that's actually a cool feature. I kind of wish the other games had kept doing this. And maybe they did, and I just never paid attention. But I always thought when this game it was super cool that you could do a still life painting of just anything in the game.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
The only complaint I do have with the still life paintings, and I think there's another one, the window to select it's kind of small and awkward and not in the middle of the screen, and that's very annoying. Anyhow, that painting sold for a decent amount, so that upped our coffers a little bit, and at this point I decide to upgrade the kitchen. Kind of look through a couple of fridges, but I just end up going with a stainless steel one because it just works. After upgrading the kitchen, I decide to start writing another novel. This time I actually did just pick random plot elements because I had no intention to make a cohesive story out of this because, like I said, I thought with the first one that I would do like a little mini story paragraph, you know, in the description, but that's just going to be too much work because I don't know how many books I'm going to be doing, and I don't know how much I'm going to need to come up with. But, yeah. So, next day, the usual, rebuild the motives so that we can write our novel with fewer interruptions. Later that night, I do a little bit of blogging, and then decide to continue writing our next great American novel. So, day 11, just kind of holding pattern that we've been in the last couple of days. I decide to spend time chatting with another sim to rebuild his social need, and after a couple hours in-game time of chatting with another sim, I send him back to writing the novel, which he finishes here, and you're just seeing me kind of come up with something to put in the description box there. So, you know, at the end, if you want to read what it says, pause it, because I'm not going to read it out myself. I'm too lazy for that. This time it landed us about 2,600 bucks, which isn't fantastic, but it's better than nothing. And at this point, I decided to go back to painting, and I real quick just upgrade the stove since we have the funds for it. So I was working on a pretty tight timetable here because you can't really do 100 days with a single sim that you create in this game because they start at the very beginning of the adult life stage with like 30 days before they age up, which kind of sucks. So this is why I let myself use this. As you can see, I made sure I had the aspiration points to purchase it, and while he was still in platinum aspiration, I went ahead and I just decided to drain the whole cooler. The thing you have to realize with the aspiration rewards is, if you've never played this game before, they only work properly when you're at gold level or above. Something like the Elixir of Life, that's something that maybe you just want to pound an ever-loving fuck ton of whenever you're in platinum mood. That way, it does its job properly. The thing that sucks with that is, I actually need at least one more, I think. You'll see I've bought another one later in the video. I think I need at least one more to make sure that I don't have to worry about him just up and dying before we hit 100 days. But I may actually need more. There's another slightly sped up montage of him gorging himself on grilled cheese because he keeps rolling the damn wand. Early on, the start of day 13, we go ahead and blog about some arts and crafts to get that one out of there. Of course, after blogging on the computer, I go ahead and do some painting. I did hire a repairman because in the last day or two, he broke the shower somehow, so of course got to take care of that, otherwise that shower will just keep leaving messes. And we sell another painting for about a little over 500 bucks, which is enough for the game to consider it a masterpiece, so hells yeah there. Of course, immediately after selling the painting, we have to get right back to painting. You know, gotta maximize that profit. So the rest of day 13 was pretty much just filled with getting the motives back up. But I did check, and I had enough aspiration points to buy another Elixir of Life cooler. So I went ahead and took care of that. I was a little cautious at first because I couldn't remember if it let me go back further on days before they aged up, which it does. I think after draining this one, I ended up with, I think, like 46 days before you turned into an elder. So that's super helpful in the context of this playthrough. After that riveting conversation with one of the neighbors, it's high time to write another novel. Because money. The start of day 15 that you're seeing here is me just kind of upgrading the kitchen a little bit, adding a cabinet and an espresso machine. Mostly because I didn't want to keep sending him to bed when his energy was low, and the only chair I have right now is a lounge chair and not a recliner. So he wouldn't be able to properly nap in it. Unfortunately, the next day, a thunderstorm rolled through and set my poor plastic lawn flamingo on fire.
Emotional damage!
Poor bastard. Not long after Nikola Tesla decided to smite my choice of lawn decoration, I finished the third novel. You know the drill. I'm not reading out whatever I write here, just pause it if you really want to see what it says. We earn another $500. This time, this book nets us $3,000. And, in honor of getting so much money, I decided to splurge a little bit and change up the car. Even though we never used it, we had that wrecked Camaro the whole time, so I went ahead and looked through some of the options we had. Mainly just looking to expand the horizons of somebody who's trying to be, you know, the self-made millionaire thing, because a wrecked 92 Camaro is not really what you'd want to be seen driving around town with. I looked over a few of them, and eventually I settled on this Lexus SC right here, which, decent luxury car. I go ahead and have him get an alarm installed, because even though we haven't seen the burglar yet so far, I really don't want to risk anything. One thing I would like to point out real quick that I love here, and I wish 3 did it, and 4 doesn't even officially have vehicles. In 2, you actually, as you can see, have the animations of them getting in and out of the car. You have the animation of the wheels turning to steer. It's cool. I wish 3 and 4 had continued it, but, you know. Kicking off day 16, we got some blogging about arts and crafts. And then while he was in the zone from doing that, I decided to have him do some painting, since in the zone also reduces how quick your motive bars decay. So it's kind of a good idea, especially if you're Sims into that sort of thing. Just kind of get them up to there. That way, in situations like this, particularly if they need money, they can make said money. Unfortunately, it took us until day 17 to get the painting finished, but oh well, you know, a couple $100 more. Also, re-rolling a want, which, if I remember right in this instance, is influencing someone to make grilled cheese. As you can see, I got the, you know, eat grilled cheese as the other option, but I'm not wasting time doing that, because, yeah. So, here I got the idea. Remember how I said the whole home business is fair game? So, what you're seeing here is me building the home business I'm going to run using all the money we've made so far. Basically, I'm just going to run like a very tiny little bar, because I know I can get money off of it. I don't know how much I'll get, I don't know how quick I'll get it, but I have done it before. So, you know, it's not like this is a new concept to me in any way, but, you know, like I've said at the start of this video, I played a fuck ton of this game, so I'm not 100% literate in every single thing that goes on in it, but I do know my way around it very well. But with that being said, this is where we're going to wrap this video up. So if you liked the video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.